r/NoSleep. Posted by u/Shane, star 93. I work at the Gold Coast Mall, avoid the arcade at all costs. I've repeated this story to the police, the management and even to that reporter from the Ledger, but I don't expect any of you to hear about what really happened, so here is as good a place as any to post it. I'm sad he's gone. He was only a few years younger than me, but as horrible as it might sound, I kind of expected the new guy wouldn't last too long. It sucked that he died. No, scratch that. It sucks that he's gone, but I warned him. Hell, we all did about the kind of place this was, but curiosity and stupidity got the better of him. For obvious reasons I won't give you my real name or even my job spec here at the mall, but suffice to say I'm part of a pretty sizable maintenance/security team at the Gold Coast Mall. The new guy was Clay Henderson. He had been on the job a few days. His was the typical story of rural America, peaked in high school and in need of a job. No special skills or accolades to his name, just a pair of hands and a basic work ethic. It was a pretty average 8-hour, minimum wage job, that even he could manage, but this isn't your average mall. Like a lot of other brick-and-mortar establishments, the Gold Coast Mall hasn't quite been the same since the rise of online retailers. Sure, they could try to have a new promotion with shiny ads and renovations, but ever since the mid-2000s the old mall just hasn't seemed to recover. Driving past it on the freeway you could see the difference. The once cheerful bright orange building, now a faded shade of yellow, paint peeling, weather-beaten, it stands out amidst the plains like a deserted temple. The inside wasn't much better. With only a handful of stores and kiosks still up and running, you could take a stroll for up to 30 minutes at a time without coming across another living soul. Whatever stores that were still open were usually ran by aging vendors who were too broke and too old to move their business elsewhere. Yep, the Gold Coast Mall's best days seemed to be behind it, and the dull, musty stores were evidence of that. All except one. On the ground floor near the southern entrance of the mall was the arcade. Like everyone else, the owner Harold Gerber sort of moved on to greener pastures, although no one seems to know where he went or even when. Trevor, the old maintenance man, was the only person you might consider to be friendly to Harold, and he didn't have a clue where he went or why. He locked up for the night with Gerber's SUV still in the parking lot and came back the following morning to see it still sitting there. That was the story he told the police, and that's about the only one he'll tell you. Trust me, I've tried. With no owner and a dried-up customer base, the arcade should be just as dead as the dozens of other stores in the mall. Only it isn't. Once a week, Claude, the managing director of this sun-beaten turd, still instructs the cleaning staff to go in and give the arcade a good once-over. Maintenance crews come in and make whatever repairs to the games and the kiosks, under condition that none of the machines are replaced. No one knows for certain why that is. But an unspoken rule among the mall's few inhabitants know better than to be caught anywhere near it. Were there stories? You damn right. In a town as small as this and a mall as small as this, there were bound to be rumors and gossip. Everything from Harold running off with another woman to his gambling debts catching up to him spread like wildfire. It wasn't long before Harold's wife Doreen began visiting Claude's office more and more regularly. The last few visits were with her lawyer, trying to get every bit of information she could over where her husband disappeared to. Claude damn near gave himself an aneurysm trying to keep this out of court and the newspaper. But eventually, after a lot of convincing and a pretty hefty check, Doreen shut her trap and moved on. Who could blame her? What management paid her off with was a hell of a lot more than what Harold brought in with that arcade anyways. Life just kind of moved on in the mall, but the arcade was anything but uneventful. Not long after Claude decided to keep the arcade open after Harold's disappearance, there was an incident with the cleaning team during one of their weekly cleaning visits. To this day we never got official word on what happened, but from what I heard through the grapevine, one of the cleaning girls, Melissa, had what you might call a breakdown of some sort. Melissa was cleaning the ball pit at the back of the arcade by herself while the staff polished and cleaned the machines. From what I was told, the laughter was the first sign something was off. Melissa just sat there at the edge of the ball pit, not your mild giggle either, I'm talking a full-on belly laugh. Kevin Hart could have been in the arcade with a full-on Netflix special and you might not have been able to get that king of response from Melissa. After dismissing it, the laughter became louder and louder. Until one of the cleaning ladies swore that there wasn't just one person laughing but two. Melissa's laughter and someone else's. Only Melissa was the only person that was laughing that day. Eventually they had to call an ambulance when Melissa began laughing and convulsing. I wasn't at work that day. Trevor claimed he got footage of the EMTs loading Melissa in the back of the ambulance, but the old bastard forgot to switch the front camera to the rear camera on his cell phone and only managed to take 12 blurry photos of himself looking stupid. So much for evidence. But there were other incidents we couldn't ignore. Like the time Zeb from the electronics store was locking up for the night and swore he heard his own voice call to him from the arcade. Over a few drinks Zeb told me that the voice was an exact replica of his own, but it sounded happier. You could say he was just shaken over what happened to Harold and Melissa, but whatever he heard, it was enough to convince him to pack up shop and leave for good. And who could forget the suspected burglary? Only a few months ago, security came in to open up one morning and saw the doors of the back entrance broken down and burglar-proofing destroyed. The thieves seemed to start with the arcade but didn't seem to get the chance to go anywhere else. As part of Claude's policy, the doors of the arcade always remain open even after hours when the mall's doors are locked, so the thieves didn't have to use their tools, which the security and police found still at the scene. Even the car believed to have been used as their getaway wheels was still in the parking lot by the time the security got there that morning. Claude chalked it up to the guys just deciding to go to a bigger, more profitable score than our dusty little mall. But we all know what really happened. Whoever was dumb enough to try and break in there after hours never left. I told Clay all of these things not as some bullshit hazing ritual to frighten the newbie, but as a heads up on what he might face while on the job here. Instead of meeting me with skepticism or even a slight grin, his eyes widened with every story. It wasn't long that he would visit every available kiosk trying to get more information on the arcade. Eventually he succeeded in getting onto Doreen to try and get some more information on what she knew about her husband's disappearance, but all she had for him was a few profanities and a threat of calling the police. After that confrontation, it wasn't long before Claude got word that Clay was snooping around and threatened him with termination if he didn't focus more on emptying the trash on time than constructing conspiracy theories. But it wasn't enough for Clay to back down. You see, a few nights ago Clay got the chance to lock up the southern entrance for the night. I blame myself because I should have known better than assigning him to that duty. I knew how enthusiastic he was for answers and I practically waved that in front of him. By the time we got back to the mall the following morning, his busted-down Nissan still sat in the parking lot. That's when it hit me what happened. We never saw him again. With Zeb gone, the entire southern edge of the mall is deserted. I hear Claude talking about having the rent of those units in that part of the mall to attract more business, but I doubt that would work. Word travels fast around this town. So please, don't come to the Gold Coast Mall.